to order. And at this time, if there's anybody here for public comment on anything, I guess we'll go off the agenda. We'll go through each individual item and we'll ask for comments at that time. So if anything that's not on the agenda you would like to speak to, now would be an appropriate time. Everybody opportunity to do that. We will move ahead to the minutes, and I do not believe there is a produced set of minutes from yesterday. There was a extensive meeting that we did some of the balloting and some of the checks on other things we will discuss here in a few minutes, and move ahead to new business. Okay, under new business, I guess we should report on the remaining calendar for the 2020 general election. We had a little bit of an update yesterday. We had the opportunity to move ahead from our original calendar to get the military overseas and federal electorate taken care of. So, Michael, I'll turn it over to you for an overview.
Sure. Just very briefly, it's essentially into two categories, which would be if we do have a recount and if we don't have a recount. So essentially, if there's no recount, the final unofficial results, regardless of if there's a recount or not, it will stay the same. Same thing with military, civilian, overseas, and federal electors. We would give the Department of State by Tuesday, November 10th at 5 p.m. our unofficial results. We would also include in that category the estimated military, civilian, and overseas and federal ballots that we may receive on Wednesday. We can still receive them on Wednesday. We would just then notify the Department of State at the conclusion of that day how many we did receive. And then essentially the final official results would occur no later than Monday, November 23rd at 5 p.m. So that's essentially without a recount. But in terms of a recount, it becomes a little bit different. So essentially still unofficial results, military, civilian, overseas. But essentially then on Thursday, so a week from yesterday, any defeated candidates whose margin is within that 0.5% statewide margin would be able to, no later than noon on Thursday, November 12th, request a recount of the Secretary of State. No later than 5 p.m. on that date, the Secretary of State would then order a recount. The Secretary of State can order a recount no later to start no later than Wednesday, November 18th. So essentially, the start date would presumably be the day after the 12th. That could be as early as that, or it could be as late as November 18th. If we were participating in a recount under those terms, we would then need to finalize it by Tuesday, November 24th at noon, and the next day, no later than noon, we would have to upload or put our results in to the Department of State. So again, this is essentially just framing us up, getting us ready. We are only advertised for election board meetings every Tuesday or Thursday, or we do have the meeting tomorrow for provisional ballots and Monday for additional ballots that we're going to be potentially adjudicating, which would be those ballots that were received after the deadline of the 3rd and up until Friday. But other than that, and then we also are advertised for Tuesday, the 10th, but we may need to do, if we do go into recount territory, we may need to advertise some additional meetings. So again, this is just to frame us up to get a sense of where we're at with the next few days.
Great. Yeah. I guess at this time, are there any questions in regard to that schedule? Media or from anybody present? Anybody on the Zoom and the Blue Jeans call?
No, I think Natalie is going to. If we get any questions on the Blue Jeans call, Natalie can text me and then we can relay them out to the board. Yeah.
All right. Moving. Okay. In regard to the military, civilian, overseas, and federal unregistered ballots,
I think you said it before, all done. We everything that we received up until Thursday, we counted yesterday, and if we receive any more today, the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we could, as they come in, count them at each meeting we hold. Yep. So we're in good shape there.
Yesterday, between the military, civilian, overseas, and federal unregistered, along with ballots that were either torn or unreadable at the mail-in and absentee ballot collation site, it ended up being 944 between those two batches. So yesterday, 944 ballots were entered into the system as counted.
we saw those results. I think the ROB came in, the RDA came in, and got done with them quickly. I think by 8:30 they were live.
And just so there's an understanding of how that process worked, if the ballot was sliced or torn or otherwise unreadable by the system, they were, by a team here, verified numerous times, reproduced, and then the reproduced ballot was stapled to the original ballot. And I think there were a number of people here that verified the accuracy of those of the proceedings. So just so everybody understands that process. And then at that time, the overseas military and federal unregistered ballots, which oftentimes, most of the time, almost virtually all the time, were not an official ballot. They were reproduced on somebody's home copier, and it might have been Germany, it might have been France, or it might have been anywhere. And at that point, those ballots had to be reproduced here so they could be entered into our system, and using the same methodology where they were stapled together to maintain the accuracy.
I will mention, before any of those reconstituted ballots were entered into the system, observers were allowed to compare the physical ballot as submitted by the military, overseas, or federal elector, and compare it to the form we were using to enter it into the machine. Every single one.
Yes, it was a painstaking process, and we were here most of the day yesterday. And also, we just so it's clear, we didn't just fill in the bubbles on another ballot. What we actually did was use the express vote system, which is the ADA compatible ballot production system that we offer all voters to use throughout the general and primary elections, and that's what produced the ballot. So it's very clear. There's no middle ground about this bubble could have been here. It is written out. It is very, very specific. So,
and every single one of those slips is stapled to its original ballot.
And we have those tucked away and sealed right now. So. Okay.
Looks like we have a question.
Cool.
Pardon me, I'm
sorry.
new to this, so if this is elections 101, forgive me.
That's fine.
You mentioned that there were ballots, overseas ballots, that may have been reproduced at the source.
Well, it reproduced here, but what they would have done was they wouldn't have had an official ballot there. So they would have used their copying capability. Some of the ballots were very small, some of them were fairly big, but they weren't going to fit in other words, they weren't going to produce a ballot. It was going to go into our machine and be readable. So we had to make a readable copy of their ballot available. So,
I guess I'm wondering why it was that they were copied or reproduced to begin with, unless I'm misunderstanding.
It wouldn't necessarily be where it's copied. What happens is our staff emails them a ballot, and then they print it off their printer. And so they're essentially, when they hit print, it's going to be in a number of different ways.
Got it.
Different
yeah,
kinds
sorry,
of
I wasn't-
paper.
No.
It's just and depending on the country,
Different size paper.
right. So, and it was kind of interesting because we were admiring some of the stamps that these were returned in yesterday, and there was quite a variety, and they literally come from all over the world, whether it be the South Pacific or Europe or the Far East. It's a fascinating process when you see people are still interested in voting.
Wasn't one of the streets Queen Margaret Street?
Yes, yes, when we had to return.
It was indeed.
It was
It
a
was
Queen
indeed.
Margaret Street.
Yeah, yes.
You said that you let observers inspect the two.
Yeah.
Was that done? The inspection, was it? So you have a ripped one or one from overseas.
Mhm.
You show it to them and then you put it in the
Yes.
system.
Yes.
Now, after you
Or
put it into the
actually,
system, does it then get re-inspected or no?
No, once it's put into
So
the system,
any
it's
inspection is
gone.
done prior to the
Right.
going through the machine. There's no inspection by an independent person after.
Well, the independent person was standing right there as we stapled the slip to the ballot and then placed that
Yeah,
assembly.
but they didn't get a chance to look at it. That's what I'm asking.
Not after it was entered. Actually, before it was.
The duration of time that was occurring it's about maybe a minute, 45 seconds to a minute between each one. So it wouldn't have been where there could have been another scan occur without that observer seeing.
Well, it could have been somebody could have made a mistake in entering it, and then
Well,
nobody's
What-
looking
no,
to
no.
see if it's
describe it.
if it's been
Yeah, so,
accurately entered,
Sure.
and then you staple it and then put it away.
No,
It could be
yeah.
they don't match up if somebody comes back and looks at it.
So maybe we just take it through. So an express vote is a touchscreen
Right, yeah.
ballot marker.
Right, I got
A blank ballot goes in. The two teams, two people enter that into then they check the results. That prints out. So I was one of the individuals, many of us were, Commissioner Higgins as well, where we would hold up the old ballot and the just recreated ballot, and the person would identify, yep,
The observer would identify.
all the candidates are correct. That new ballot then is put into the machine and recorded. And then we take that out and we staple it together. And then that's
So there's two machines it's going through. One that recreates it, and then the election machine.
the first machine is not a ballot recorder. It's basically.
No, I understand that. I understand that. So you're running it through one machine to recreate it. Person looks at it and says, okay, or the observer looks at it, okay, and then you put it into the voting machine.
That's correct.
Yep, that's the process. Okay. Coincidentally enough, almost on cue.
So just to bring, and then just to segue into this, but it's important for our solicitor to discuss this. So everybody would have a copy of two recent, because it's just important for us to understand as a board and also the public. The copy that is single-sided, okay, single-sided, is the copy that is going to be the one that we received on the 5th. The copy that is double-sided, it's just going to be two sheets. That's the one that we just literally received today. And so from what we are doing as a board and what we discussed doing prior to the election was any ballot that we are receiving by the USPS after 8 o'clock on Tuesday up until 5 p.m. on Friday, we are logging into an Excel spreadsheet, the voter's name, the voter ID, date we received it, postmark, etc., all of that data into a spreadsheet. We are then going to consider opening them later next week. So Monday, Tuesday, we will look at opening them. We want to respect the courts. We want to respect all that. There might be some decisions that come. So those ballots are essentially going into a bin. They're getting sealed. They'll be after 5 o'clock on Friday. They will be in a sealed bin. So there is a request from the courts that we submit that spreadsheet to the Department of State by no later than Tuesday, November 10th. And so we are up to date as all the ballots we received up until noon today. We have that list up to date, and they're updating it literally. They come in, update the spreadsheet. It's good to go. The ballots are going into that locked bin. The one thing to just put a finer point on is that if Betsy can probably go into this a little bit more in detail, but this is on the single-sided sheet that we received on the 5th yesterday, where voters can still come in and if they did not put their signature on their voter declaration of a timely received ballot, being something that was received prior to 8 p.m. on Tuesday the 3rd, they can still come in to cure that ballot up until either Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure of the date.
Actually, I have an update to
Update,
that.
please, yes.
So my understanding, after having talked
Margaret, sorry,
well-
could you just turn the mic on, Betsy?
both with our election staff and the staffs of other counties, is that specific sixth day is related only to identification that a voter would be required to produce. So when a voter and I'm going to use the new voter as an example because they're the ones we most common see having to produce identification when they vote at their polling place. When they apply for an absentee ballot, the direction is that the absentee ballot has to be sent to them for all the timing reasons. But before that ballot can actually be canvassed, they have to provide the identification. And I think you all know this. If a voter comes into a voting place and is a new voter and does not have their identification, they are to be given a provisional ballot, and they have then the 6 days, up to the 6th day, to produce their identification. The theory being we don't want to create a situation where they have to keep going back through the line or they have to go get identification. So that is strictly related to identification as far as our election staff is concerned. It has nothing to do with any defects. Okay. So I just want to clarify. I know we discussed this yesterday. I discussed this with both you and I discussed it with Mr. Dershowitz as well, but it really is only the identification issue, has nothing to do with the declaration.
So let's be clear for the record,
Yeah,
what the direction is.
so the direction is that it is simply those voters who get coded into the system by the staff when they apply, that they have to provide identification. At this point in time, we have no voter coded into our system for which identification is required. No absentee vote, mail-in ballot voter.
There we go.
So that doesn't apply. So for the
So
purpose of Center County Board of Elections, we do not have to worry about that issue.
Yes, that's exactly correct. And so the stipulated order that came out on the 5th was simply related, which again, doesn't apply to us because we have no mail-in ballots that were sent out for which identification is pending. So essentially, we don't have to segregate, which is a good thing, right?
I will retract the statement,
Yeah.
which is that if you're a voter who didn't sign, that
You're
passed.
done.
That passed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That passed on Tuesday at 8:00. And
Yes.
that's something. Okay. All right. Okay.
So that eliminates
Okay.
one thing.
One less thing. Yes.
Okay. Now
So
we
you're saying that nobody can cure any votes now, one, because there's none outstanding in the category, and two, the other time has passed.
Yeah. That's accurate.
That's correct.
Okay, anything else in regard to the update on segregated mail-in and civilian absentee ballots for any of these suits? We are going to maintain a segregated copy or segregated, all the,
Yeah, every ballot is going to go into a red tub like that, sealed up,
Right.
and then it'll be stored over the weekend, and Monday we'll dig into that.
Well, and we should likely know by Monday or Tuesday at the latest what SCOTUS is going to do. The expectation is that we're going to get some kind of reaction from them as to whether they're going to insist that they're either going to take this case up and review it, in which case we probably sit in holding pattern, or they're not. Of course, they also have until November 30th to make that decision.
according to this guidance, on Tuesday, we are going to provide a complete list of those absent.
Of those ballots that were
mail-in
returned in
ballots.
that time period, correct?
Right.
Yep.
I know we just received some again yesterday while we were meeting here, so have a quantity of those. Okay. All right. Update on provisional ballots.
I think the only thing that we needed from that was Joyce, I believe, is in the hallway, and if Joyce could just give us an updated number. I think we did a rough count, we came up with a number, but if we could just get an updated count, I think that would be helpful, just so everybody's aware of that.
Originally, we had estimated 600 minutes on it's like 530, but that still will vary until we actually process them. And I take most of them all.
So roughly 530-ish.
550, I believe.
Okay. Just so that we didn't put out that we had about 700 as an estimate. We just didn't want to come back in on Saturday and there be a difference. It was a rough count. We have more final.
Tish has gone through all of the ones that were dealt with from the hub and Bryce Jordan, which, as you know, are where we get a lot of them from. She was starting through the precincts in numerical order and was working through them. So
At the Bryce Jordan Center, I believe there was 167.
she wanted to get do those first because they just have a lot more. Those were done.
There are 167, 176 in that.
Yeah.
What's the basis for provisions?
There's a whole set of
Is there like
procedures.
are they broken down by category, about, you have 100 for this reason, 50 for that reason? Or it's just,
No, they will be by precinct, I presume.
Yes.
We'll go through them.
Yeah.
On a case-by-case basis. And everyone, it may well be that an individual didn't show up in our poll book and believed that they were a qualified elector. So we gave them the opportunity to vote at that time. It might be that they believed that they were registered in Center County. Maybe they were registered somewhere else. And but all those issues are fleshed out after Election Day to make sure that they are qualified electors. Their ballots may or may not partially or in full count. Because one of the other elements of that, just so you're aware, is if an individual comes in and let's say he's supposed to be at precinct 12 and he ends up voting in precinct 29, and perhaps the state representative races are different, or there may, in this case, that may be the case, where the ballots may not be exactly accurate to that individual's qualified original home ballot. And so those races would count, but however, the federal races may well count.
And the statewide race.
Yeah, the statewide races would count as well.
And just so everyone's clear, that's the reason Allegheny County is now counting roughly 30,000 ballots, is because of that issue that you just raised.
Yes.
So Natalie was saying that we do have a question in the chat, and so just to repeat it, it's roughly 500 to 550 provisional ballots. We'd estimated it was around 693. We are now looking at it as 550. So, and Natalie, if you also we can also text you the that number as well. They can put that in the chat. And that again, to folks who weren't here for the rest of the week, that's a tomorrow task starting at 9 a.m. Provisional ballot.
Okay. Vote by mail processing room ballots.
Sure. So of the 33,000 estimate that went through the Penn State or vote by mail processing room, the only ballots left remaining for us to adjudicate and decide on with the help of our solicitor and getting some guidance from her would be in that red bin. 6 ballots that needs more attention that we flag on Wednesday. So we can start with them. And then the next item is, again, we passed a deadline of 8 p.m. on Tuesday for voters to cure their voter declaration on mail-in and civilian absentee ballots. We've held them, and that's on the top of that bin. Those ballots were directly transported from our elections office over here just before the meeting began. So we would also want to look at those and decide what the guidance states. And again, we don't have to decide them right now. It would give our solicitor the opportunity to see firsthand what they look like. And then again, we can make decisions on Monday, Tuesday, being thorough, being taking the time to do that. But that would give her eyes on the weekend to do some research. So we can start with the bin, I think, and go from there if that works.
Okay, well, let's,
sure.
Then we have the voter declaration for mail-ins. Voter declaration on mail-in, it's really, you just covered.
That would be that, yes.
So you pretty much covered all 3 areas.
Yep.
So if it is, there's no old business or any other things to come before the board, so that I would suggest that you proceed with the next step.
Oh, why don't I will bring it over to you for you to.
Oh, okay.
Reach it.
The red bin has 6 ballots from the other day that we were unclear and needed a little bit more guidance, perhaps, or a little bit more suggestion as to. Because one of the challenges is if any of the secrecy envelopes have any marks on them or any identifying characteristics that would identify the voter, that puts it into a special class, and some of those may be included.
And just so we know the folks in the room, if you would be willing to introduce yourself, we've had Margaret Gray, our administrator, in the room some of our meetings recently, but maybe folks to the right of her, some new additions, just so everybody in the audience is aware of who's in the room.
I'm Betsy Dupuy, the solicitor.
Bryce McHenry, senior advisor.
Jody Ned, the elections coordinator.
Erica Weber, technical.
So Erica's with ES&S, the manufacturer of the DS200s, and we're using ExpressVote, so we appreciate her time. And she actually has literally a flight to catch at some point. So, and then also Betsy has not a flight to catch, but another meeting to attend. So we will go through this fairly quickly. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I think there was maybe a question.
Yeah, talk about guidance on how to use, interpret the ballots. Does that come directly from where? How do you get it?
Well, obviously, the election code has a great deal of information in it, and we use that. There are also guidance documents that are issued from the Secretary of State.
Do you filter it to them, or do they get it direct?
Actually, they get most of the guidance before I do, meaning it goes directly to the elections personnel before it comes to the solicitors. And then we are the ones who review it and address it from there. But 99.9% of the time, we're going to the code and we're looking at the sections of the election code, which sadly are not as clear as they could. I'm being
Trying to
candid and
use
honest.
as reasonable a process as we can to determine most of the issues. And that's what we're here to discuss with these 6, for instance.
And as a reiteration for some of the folks who work in the room, Wednesday, because we rejected over 100 naked ballots. So the ballots that were not contained in a secrecy envelope. So that's that's clearly a code. If it's not in there, it's not in there. And so.
But in that case, it's both a code and a Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision.
Exactly.
I should have said that. There is also some case law interpreting the code as well, so.
Super. So I think
Some old and some
So at this time, we will ask.
yeah, please. Yep.
Okay, on this side, we have 4371. Shall I cut it off, Mike, and you'll show it to the camera?
Sure.
Okay.
These are sealed and recorded. Yeah, prior to us leaving the election board, I want to say 7:30 last night, we announced these numbers and held them up to the camera. And would anybody else like to see the numbers? Anybody? Okay.
All these ballots have been in the custody of the elections office.
On to the next one. Okay, here we go. This is 4372. 4372 off. I think it's tape shot. Yes, this is Steve Seal that says we have 6 questionable ballots inside the box. Opening the box. Now, the file folder.
It's a little bit.
There's nothing in the box.
Yes. We had that.
You didn't hold it up to the screen like this. This is
Which one?
the last one. I don't know.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I think the first. I think. Just about.
I don't know that you did the second. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Not that we're checking, but we're not doing anything at the moment, so it's easy for us to pay attention.
There we go. Okay. Thank you.
Empty box.
Okay.
These are ballots that went through the mail-in ballot processing project.
And we have already looked at them, and we just,
I felt they needed more attention. So the yellow sheets are the notes from the processing room, a variety of check boxes, and I'll begin with Mike to start introducing this first set.
Sure. So, one of the big things, and again, I don't know if Betsy, if you want to, maybe
Maybe you can join us up front.
Yeah, do you mind?
I'll scoot over closer than 6 feet.
I'll get another chair. If you want.
Okay, I'm
Kind of the
gonna
difference.
stand
Okay,
for me
all
to
right.
stand.
A lot of what we're going to be doing is just
Yeah.
the definition of identifying characteristics.
So this will be the first one, Betsy. Again, we've all reviewed these. So it's really a question about the signature. We had certain signatures that were clearly we could tell who
Who it was.
Who the elector was.
exactly. Their signature is very
Well,
plain.
they must not have been doctors.
Well, some of them
Or
look like they
lawyers.
could have been.
Yes.
They usually pass most.
So that's in terms. It's really in terms of the bar of if it's recognizable, if it's not recognizable.
But these were, just to be clear, these already went through your staff review of them, which was reviewed record online.
No. But the staff wouldn't have been able to see the secrecy envelope. Yeah. So this is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're not talking about their signature now, we're talking about the fact that they marked their outer envelope.
Inner envelope.
Something on the inner
Yes,
envelope.
they put an identifying characteristic on the inner envelope.
But we have allowed ones that just had a little.
Yeah, but this is the person's name.
Right, but exactly. But we have allowed signatures that you can't tell who the.
It's a doctor's signature. was
Yeah.
On the outside of an envelope?
Yes. But it does not reveal the voter's identity because we don't know what their
I
signature is.
see what you're saying.
Yeah. But some people have signed it clear as day. You can tell what their name.
Or put other orientation on there.
So that's one to think about. We don't need a decision today, but that would be the.
This goes with that, right?
Yeah. So it's basically the signature threshold. That's what they say. That's
Not so much the signature threshold, it's the outside, it's the identifying marks on the outside of the ballot. Because all these people have never clicked on the secrecy envelope. Yep, okay,
that's
gotcha.
particular.
Now I understand.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How many envelopes were allowed that had a signature on that counted as votes?
Some of it was initials, some of it was just a straight pencil.
Well, I'm saying signatures. How many are we talking about?
Sure. At our meeting on Wednesday, we gave that number out. I don't have it available right now, but
Meeting Wednesday?
yes, sir. Yeah, we.
No, I'll look it up. Yes, thank you.
Okay. This is another one where everything passed muster, nothing on the inner envelope. It's all good. But what they in the ballots here, what they did was they included their voter registration card in there, in this envelope here.
I think that's a problem.
Say it's what?
I think that's a problem.
That's a problem. Okay. And it would be for what reason?
On the basis that they put an identification inside with the ballot.
So here's the thing, that it only has a text marker symbol on the envelope.
I understand.
Oh, sure.
I understand, but I mean, I can look again at case law, but
So that's one. That's
why these are the.
So that's why you're.
yeah,
So the envelope's fine, but they put something inside the envelope
right,
to identify.
right.
This one is, we're not going to show the ballot, but they signed the ballot. That's another one. Sign the ballot. Hey,
That's prima facie.
Yeah, I think so.
We're
I
just-
think so. I think that one's easy to.
yep. Okay. Next one. Inner envelope has again, signature, but it's not abundantly clear. Not abundantly clear the signature. So again, that goes back to the threshold of a signature. What's on there? What's again, signature. There's, what is a signature? What's not? That's another one. So just to give you
Identifiable as that
It's
signature.
messy, but there's a couple letters you can identify.
So again, that's signature. Here's one. No signature, but it has their old address. We are in the middle of a move. The address on the back, their old address is this one. Hey, the other address is listed is our new one. So they put their address, no signature, no that. So that's another.
Just trying to be consistent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's on the security envelope?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, these are all things that appear either on the security envelope or in one case was inside the envelope. If I'm correct, yeah.
One was assigned.
And yeah, when we signed it now.
So those are those.
Okay.
And those can
I
go
want to
back.
take some notes. Okay. Okay. I won't leave this room, but I just want to take some notes.
What are these? Just so we're clear.
Other problem ballots, Tisha put them in there and asked me to bring them over with the others.
Could you just give clarity on what these are?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, because these we know what these are. So we have 40 ballots then. Maybe we'll start those over with. These are 40 ballots that we received in our drop boxes that they were given in secrecy envelopes. So that's how we received them. They were put in the drop boxes just as we did. So those
And the problem with this, of course, is from first blush, we have no idea what precinct it is or how
those
are
are
recorded.
Yeah, no signature, no nothing. So those are pretty straightforward in terms of.
Those are all no signature.
No, those are no return
They're
envelopes. We receive them like that.
Oh, okay.
We're just saying we have them in the custody of the elections office. We can't count them. Do it in public session. So. And there's a total of 40. Yeah, that is 1 point. Do I count?
Well, I think it would be our one. Not sure.
No, that's better mark.
I would have to make it.
Yeah, from Tisha, for Tisha. That's. Yep. So there's no way to record that they were received. There's no way to record anything coming back to the voter. So.
And we have
But like a truly.
one here that dropped in the box receipt envelope not sealed and no way to know which was his. So obviously that would have just been a ballot,
We did have ballot just about the return.
with nothing on it.
That's right.
And I believe we have one here that was open with absolutely no idea. Without it being sealed makes it a problem. These are official election ballots.
So those are when a voter receives the ballot, they, via the mail, they receive it in that envelope there.
Right.
So for whatever reason, the voter
Just
returned it.
returned it in the same envelope you received
That's right.
without any of the identifying characteristics necessary.
So those potentially could be, we open them up to see what's inside. There's a potential that inside there is a signature, the ballotness, but I think my thinking would be,
Here is this.
that one too. Thinking would be with these is getting more guidance from Betsy on, do we open them? They were timely received, October 28th, but do we open them? That's
No,
the
they
question.
don't have a declaration.
We don't know.
But inside they may. Inside
Michael,
they
you
may.
can hold it up and see that it's only the, you can see the, turn, look on the other side, you can see the writing through there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you.
It's not appropriate to open this to find out.
Well, you can see there's no return on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, thank
It
you.
would take some work to just,
So,
yeah.
so I would think that if you wanted to double count the 40. So I would think I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that we would reject those and just, on record, say that we rejected them for not being properly returned.
There's no reason to have the solicitor review.
I
Oh, I don't think so.
All right.
We brought you over, Tricia. What, yeah.
The four scenarios, one, the postal service put stickers all over the back of the affirmation. You can see their
So we
writing.
can open these.
Yeah. You can see their writing, you can't verify what's there, and that's not fair to penalize the voter for whatever delivery service did that.
That is where the affirmation and whatnot should be, but it is being covered by UPS secondary here.
The other situation is we got a ballot from Ypsilanti that it is enclosed other than us opening it, exactly how we got it, with the letter that was included from that state's office. Two are the victim advocate people who printed all their personal information on the back and could not be sent to the public pre-canvass because we have to protect their identities.
Yes.
And the other ones, I had trouble getting them to show on our audit reports. So I held them here till I could make sure that they showed credited properly and showed up on the auditing reports. And that should be all the ones that you have. I put notes on all of them.
So, and just to go to Betsy, for the victim advocate ones, I think those are specific ones, in terms of how we open them, how we handle them.
I did put notes, Michael, we need those envelopes back to
Oh,
seal
sure.
in a secure place.
Of course.
Yeah, I think as long as the board is satisfied that those declaration is approved as a voter, open them, process the ballots, and return everything to the staff to fill.
The UPS envelope, I'd like you to give us guidance on because it's going to be impossible to
Oh, yeah.
use any amount of discretion as to what might be underneath.
So Michael, that OVA information,
Yes.
that is the information assigned to them with the victim advocate program.
Got it.
And technically, that's how they should have signed their affirmation with that number.
Okay.
But I talked to a representative from the state, and they said that's not clearly explained to those people in that program, that they should have only used that number and not identifying information to them.
Right.
So they're going to work on that at a state level, making sure these people are aware of how they should properly sign an affirmation.
But for the moment, again, we're going to rely on the solicitor's advice.
Yeah, I mean, they should be counted. It's just the envelopes have to be segregated.
Right.
Yeah.
Kept confidential.
Just to be clear, Tisha, on the one that has all of the postal service stickers,
UPS.
UPS, I'm sorry, was that where the voter took it to UPS and said, "I'd like you to mail this to Center County," and then UPS went, "Stick on
I
top."
can't say
So-
100% that would be my assumption, yeah.
So
Oh,
there's-
this is definitely UPS.
And I mean, you can see that they wrote something, we just can't confirm that, but I mean, that's also not fair to them. That
so
that
Well,
was
I'm wondering
not
if
fair
we
to them.
opened the ballot,
Yes,
If you could
if you
see.
could see it from the reverse side,
great idea.
because I can see a signature through this.
Okay.
But I can't see it as clearly as I might from the other side of the ballot because of the, and we could try to take this off, but I think Steve's right, we're gonna pull off.
Yeah, you're gonna.
So we do have openers over there that we could get a slice and.
With a water bottle, if you guys see one.
Yeah.
They should be in a secrecy envelope, so we
Well,
won't.
if there isn't one, then we know it's a naked ballot and then it's done, right?
Yeah, then.
Sorry, I'm not being smart here, but trying to solve one problem and maybe we already,
So,
it is in an envelope.
yeah, let's switch.
One at a time.
And if you want to come over here, Tish, because you would have done this yourself, you know, as you would look at these, right? But I can definitely see it's on there tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, she has everything on there.
Right.
You hold it up here. You hold it up so like you can see
Oh,
everything on there.
fantastic, good stuff, good stuff, there you go. Good stuff, good stuff. That's,
But can you get the information
Oh,
on
yeah,
that?
yeah,
that you
yeah.
need
I
to-
scanned,
Oh, right, you can scan the, you've got the scan on it.
I just need it back after the determination's made to make sure to credit her record.
if anybody would like to come view it, please. Love to look.
I think you can get all the information.
Yeah, I'll just need it back then.
It's reversed, but you can see that they fill everything in, that's not.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Let's see.
All right.
So here's
So,
the ballot
yeah.
that matches up with that.
Yes.
So I'd say that's a count, we'll count that today.
Yes.
We can open and count that today. These, Tisha, are, from your standpoint, signatures good, timely received.
For
all
those
the-
victim advocacy or the
Those
ones
are-
that had trouble crediting.
Good, not victim advocacy, this is just,
So the ones you had trouble showing an audit report.
Right, those were, everything was good. I just had trouble in the system getting them to show up in the audit.
they were, again, timely received, and good to go, I don't see any issue.
Empty bin?
For count.
Yes. These are
Then those are the, so those are the ones, timely received, signature, everything's good, everything has on it. We wanted to, just for the viewing audience.
Why weren't they counted if they came in on time, they're good?
Because we have to record them in our SOAR system and we print audit reports to make sure that every ballot that was scanned is present, or if we have a ballot that's present, it's showing scanned. And I was having trouble getting them to show on the audit report that it was scanned. So I had to do a little bit more with the system for it to actually reflect that.
And how many are there?
Great, I think.
And they all have timestamps on them as to when
Correct.
you receive them, so they're all confirmed.
26, 26, 30th, 19.
Of
All signed.
October.
Yep, absolutely, yep. So those will be timely. Okay. And then victim advocate, those would just be, we count them, we don't.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they were timely, we just couldn't send them to the public canvassing.
Right.
So this one from,
Oh, go ahead and open it.
a Michigander.
Yes,
yeah,
it's pronounced Ypsilanti.
Yeah, so the only thing we did was open the outer envelope
Okay.
when we received it, because we had no idea what it was. And you can open it and read the letter to everyone and show them what was inside.
Nice envelope from the city clerk.
Yeah, everything was put back in the envelope exactly how we received.
So
Put it
we,
back the way you found it.
yeah. So we have the outer envelope, and it appears to have been completely filled out and dated the 19th of October, so I think we got it in time. Okay, here is a nice letter. Although this was dated October 30th, 2020. To whom this may concern, this letter is to inform the correct clerk's office that this ballot was intended for, comma, that the ballot was opened accidentally in front of, can I say their name? Very interesting name.
It's
It
a public.
is.
It's public official, right?
Public official.
Okay, Emma Dudu. Who was after the D, second D. Owner of ballot. There was a miscommunication of the envelope given that the city of Ypsilanti was an application to receive a ballot. We advised Emma Dudu to include this letter with her ballot and overnight it to the intended clerk's office. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact the city of Ypsilanti's clerk's office at 734-483-1100. Thank you, Chelsea Thomas, election clerk. And then she signed her name. I don't need to read the bottom of the letter, do I?
Oh, no.
Okay. So, I'm going to keep these in order.
Yes.
Then
I
we-
mean, as far as we were concerned,
Yeah.
it's valid, but we couldn't touch something that looked like that and just send it to be counted without.
And so here's the official election ballot, and it appears that we have the Great Seal of the State of Michigan elections to reseal the envelope, which has been opened. I'll pass it to my fellow commissioners so they can.
I don't need to see that.
I would think that they went to excruciatingly detailed steps to preserve this secrecy of its own. Admitted the error, corrected it, and sometimes these things happen. I think they not only rectified it, but went above and beyond to do so. So I would suggest that we report on it.
Yeah, that was a lot of effort.
Okay.
Any problem, Betsy?
No, I don't.
And Michael, I'll need that envelope too.
Absolutely. You are going to get everything.
Okay.
We're going to give it back.
Get it all back.
Yeah.
You have to get it all back anyways. Yeah, keep it.
Right, but I need the ones specifically that need credited.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
You will.
Are you done with me, Michael?
No. We just have.
We're never done with you.
So these-
Where everybody else is in
no,
here.
you're good.
Like they've been working 12-hour days.
You have these here, okay? Declaration missing date, voter name, address. So these have been signed, but they just missing the date, voter name, address. We have, the only thing that is missing is the printed voter name. Signed it, dated it, address, they just didn't print it. These right here are, they're missing the date. They've signed, printed their name, address, but they didn't print the date. So those are the three categories there. And then, would those be all from, those are all of the declarations issues, correct?
Right.
Okay. So let's start with those. So in terms of,
There's no other ones marked declaration in there, right? Okay, yeah.
so those would be the ones that from the signature ones, they won't count because they didn't get it signed. And those are these, correct?
Right, and those have already been recorded because we do have a record cancel no signature in our system, so those have been recorded as such.
So I would think starting with these, if they don't have a signature, we could pull them out, verify no signature, and then say no. Correct?
Correct.
Right, so if you want to. You need these back? Obviously, you'll need a photo.
Yeah, I can file everything, but
Right, so I'll give that to you.
All right. Reassemble it later on.
Yeah.
And the no signature ballots, there's no signature at all. It's not just misplaced.
We can.
Here in just a moment.
yeah, no, I mean, even if they had something on the wrong line, but they had everything, we didn't flag it because they still had all their information and, people make mistakes, so.
Here's one where the voter mark. I don't know what that is.
I think you may have tried to sign it?
It depends on the assistant. The bottom, it was one of
Oh.
the assistants ones. That we
All right.
And you may find a marked one because like other people were looking at them for us and segregating them, so if you find a marked one, those would be.
So these were all received in a timely fashion.
Correct.
Right, they just.
Missing something on the declaration, the
Well,
signature being the most
signature being
critical.
most critical.
And with each of the ballots, every single one here, including these, you have paperclip the letter we sent them, a copy of the letter we sent them saying you didn't have a signature, please come in direct.
Right, now actually to rectify, you may have a few in there that did not come soon enough for us to notify them.
For example, November 2nd, we received this the day before.
Right, so we couldn't notify them.
But the best of our ability. One on there that has those squiggly mark.
Yeah, that's one there. So from what I've seen, these right here have clearly no signature either up top or the bottom. So I would say those are rejections. However, these are the two here
Yeah.
that have it down there.
One appears to be the attempt of the name, the other one has perhaps the actual name assigned in the wrong place.
Technically, if you have to make a mark, somebody is to assist them and fill at the bottom.
Right.
You guys can make the determination whether with everything else present, but not who assisted.
The problem is you don't have enough of a visual.
Well, it may be where that's the voter's mark.
Right.
That is
No, I
that is their mark. Yeah. And it does look like it was, took them a lot of effort to make that.
But this one's a bummer. It would appear they at least tried to sign it on the 24th of October. Maybe they mailed it that day, and we got it on the 2nd of November.
It depends on what address.
It's not that big. I mean,
Well,
right, it wasn't Belmont, so it had to go through,
Yeah.
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 No, there's no signatures at all.
I would say that there's, how many of those are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so
Wait,
six.
no, 1, 2, 7. There's 7. They're loose. Maybe I should just count right. No, it's 6. There are 6. There's letters, but there's 6.
And these two, Steve and I both looked at them, they have marks down at the bottom. So I would suggest, maybe Betsy could look into have looked into that.
So Betsy, here they, for some reason, they signed on the lower declaration, not the upper.
That's best. Oh, it's good.
Sorry, I have a question. What efforts are made, like when time permits, like what kind of effort is made to rectify the signature situation?
At an election board meeting in mid-October, we approved a letter that would go with any of these issues. And so that was timely sent, but a voter, let's say they didn't sign it, they didn't sign date, name, etc. We would mail that to them and saying that you could come to our office to rectify this and your vote will, at that point count. But in addition, we did have our staff also call through or email if their application or voter record had that information. We reached out to them. Most likely it was the weekend before the election on the 31st and 1st of November to try to reach out to them again to say, if you have missing information, please come into our office to rectify.
So in 5 of 6 cases, mailed them a letter. In all 6 cases, we called the phone number that we had on file for them and left a message. Or tried to.
So I apologize. There actually are, I was looking at the other side here. There are more categories of missing information. We have anything from missing dates, missing printed voter name, missing date, voter name, address, etc. Different categories, but all of these have signatures. They all have signatures.
Well,
Yeah, please.
I would say this one works because that is the voter that signed it. This one you can't discern.
So in terms of discerning the signature, I think the understanding is as long as there's some sort of mark in that box, we count it. That's my understanding.
Well, but the witness
Yeah, but
is to mark as the witness because it's not a clear,
you can
concise
tell that
signature.
you can tell that this one was filled out, the top was filled out by the witness.
Right.
And then the person attempted to sign below,
Okay.
but the witness didn't include the information. But this other one, I think the voter signed in the wrong box.
Yeah, that was curious.
Because I can tell by the
Signatures
print that it
makes
looks
sense.
like she completed the top. You guys can look at it, but that would be my take.
No, that's,
Well, so the voter is named, a male name. The signature is a female name.
Oh, I didn't look at the front.
No,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
I
It's
didn't look at
okay.
the front either.
Oh, you're right.
So you're saying that this
Yes.
is not the voter at all? Well, then they should. This says Dolores. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this wasn't done correctly either. And both of these should be rejected. Okay, I'm sorry. I was
No,
thinking
you're
she
fine.
was the
You're
voter.
fine. You're fine. Yeah, so I would
Because it says that she's the voter, but in fact, she was the voter.
I would have to.
And in both of these cases, we called them, left a message, and sent.
So, yeah,
Sorry.
I would concur.
No, it's okay. I didn't look at the front.
All eight of
I'm
them.
comparing the voters. Okay.
So then these are, again, I think, they're not guidance at this point, Betsy. My suggestion would be, again, all have signatures, but there's certain information that's missing. So anything that you can provide, I mean, today, Monday, in terms of these, would be helpful.
Michael, where you took the guidance from for our letter, which told them what was required?
Right, so we'll get to that. Yep.
Yeah, so we have, the first stack is they're missing
Dates.
But everything else is,
So all of these would be timestamps that have the dates that we received. So that's the.
All right, I understand.
This one is missing the printed voter name.
Okay.
That's the next thing. So if you don't, this would be the next thing that they've missed. Missing date, voter name, address. Date, voter name, address.
No, I
So
think those are definitely out.
again, it's just the signature,
I think those are definitely out.
just the signature. This is missing the voter address. They have their signature, their date, their printed name. They don't have their address. There's just one of these. It is where it has their signature and their address, but they did not put the date or the voter did not print their name. Last one is where they signed and dated, but they did not put their name or address.
would you like to refer these for Betsy?
Yes, I would think so. My sense is everything's on there, they time-stamped it. In the future, I think we need to put today's date on these instead of date. I think that could cause confusion with birth date. And there
Well,
would
I do know that we just have to make sure that we are allowed to alter it because I did talk to someone at US and they are considering it. But I don't know if it's approved yet to actually put today's date. So that's something we'll have to make sure we check into.
okay.
I agree with you.
we're
as long
talking
as
about
we're
the
allowed to.
formatting we talked about.
Yeah.
Format,
I
yes.
do know that counties many counties have taken the position that the person put their birth date on there, because we had that issue. That did not make the defect, but
No, and we had that too, and
Yeah.
we also made that call that.
But it also just, there's one of yours that had a 10 flash and then nothing else. So we might need to dive into those a little bit more, but if they're timestamps we've received, that's, my thought. Again, it's the largest chunk. So anyway,
well, my understanding is that with respect to the declaration, the boards, the statute doesn't get into the specifics. One question I would ask you, your former, two of whom are in here, review board, is I realize these are mail-in ballots, but we had to do the same thing with absentee ballots in the past. And the question is, what did we do with absentee ballots that had these issues in the past?
Absentee ballots previously went all the place, so we.
But you never even addressed the declaration? Did you give guidance to the elections judges as to what to do?
It was in the manual, yes, in the direction. But we never had any return. Never had to review any.
Okay.
I think, I would agree. For the solicitor for review, and again, what makes or breaks guidance wise. If it's our latitude as a board of elections to say, we can say yes or no, depending on if they have a signature. That would also be something to take into consideration.
Yeah, I think something that's missing more than one item is going to be more problematic than something that's missing. But I'm not sure I'm going to be able to say to you there's guidance that says X. I do know that at least Perry County and the listserv responded that if they were missing, they did not. They rejected the ballot. So that's one I can tell you. Others have not have been silent.
I guess we are trying to opt for whatever case law might be available with regard to these matters.
Well, I think it also, past practice does enter a little bit into it in terms of if we're hearing that in previous elections, presidential, municipal, gubernatorial, if there were never any ballots coming back, as we witnessed today, there are many issues. But if no ballots came back after they were put to the polling locations, and I don't remember as an election board us adjudicating these fast, but it may lend to that the fact that those were accepted, and we may want to continue that. So again, just some things to think about.
You never got them back. So the judges of election, but you would have seen them before they went in. My point is, we would have we had elections prior to this one where we've had the same kinds of issues with ballots.
Well, fortunately, when it was just absentee, you had a tiny number, and a lot of them were repeat permanent ones, so they were used to doing it over and
So you
over.
didn't have any of these issues.
We didn't, because I think people had more time, were less stressed, took a little bit more time to get over and make sure that they had stuff filled out. But in an election of this magnitude in the past, when it was just absentee, we had maximum maybe 6,000 ballots.
How did you all handle these in the spring election? Did you have ballots that had these issues primary?
We did.
And what did we count them? Did we not count them?
What was sent to the return board, we did the remix.
Well, no, for signatures.
I'm saying if they had, because I think the declaration was about the same in the spring, correct? So if you had things missing in the spring, a date, an address, a name, how did we treat those ballots for the spring election?
We didn't have them. They weren't given to us to the return board.
So there weren't any? Is that what we're saying? I mean, I find it hard to believe that you didn't at least have half a dozen in the spring.
I think saying it this way is, current board or the elections board, we did not adjudicate any ballots like this in the primary. So,
So either we didn't have any, or they were simply.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
I'm just asking.
That's right. So again,
So we have ones that are counted here. We have ones we're not going to count here, and are these solicitor review?
that's right. Yeah.
Shall I move toward the
Sure,
solicitor?
sure. Totally nice. Yeah.
I've got to go look for
And then
that. So.
that's also missing.
Oh,
How many are for the solicitors review?
Well, I'm not going to. I don't intend to have them leave the room. I have the issues and
I
questions.
just need to know,
They're right here. We haven't counted them yet.
just approximately, doing about 20,
Trying to get over 50.
Maybe a tiny bit over 50, I would think. Yeah.
So then last one here, Tisha, is we have got waiting for guidance from states.
Are those completely blank?
They are completely blank.
Completely blank declarations.
Completely blank.
That's a pretty much a no go.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not.
No, that's pretty much a no go.
Yeah. I
The
think
signature is the most critical thing because, that's a no.
And also, I'm waiting on guidance from them as to how we are to record those as rejected in the system, because as of right now, the only thing we have that even applies to the affirmation is no signature. Well, of course that applies, but a whole lot more applies to it as well. So I'm waiting on guidance for that as well.
All right, so we have 5 where there's absolutely nothing filled out anywhere on the declaration.
So I would agree.
We'll count those.
They should be. We are all that standpoint, we're all together. So in terms of us opening these, we could do that at this point and then run them through. Can we bring up a DS200? Okay, yeah.
Michael, there's also some more military over there that came in,
How many?
15, 20 maybe.
I would suggest we wait until Monday to do them all at once. Do them all with the military. They
The
have,
military? Okay.
they have until Tuesday.
Right, at 5,
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday is high.
No, we have until Wednesday.
Right, but they for return.
So I would like to do those in one.
5.
one.
Want to do that? Sure.
Yes.
I'm confident. In terms of these, since we have them here, some of them are.
I would run them through so you can get the, especially
You
the
would need to
witness
bring in the
protected ones.
express code, and go through the whole process.
One of
I'm
these-
talking about if we do the military
Gotcha.
ones. So I think do those in one.
But you do want a machine up to run those through currently?
Yes.
Yeah, these are actual ballots. I think they're. Or is that that's just one? So yeah, since we have open ones, so no. I have 3, Mr. Higgins 2, Mr. Gershon 3. So we essentially have 8.
But you kept the ones that have to go, but that have to be, those ones that are marked, right? The
Yes.
Witness protected ones, those
Correct.
have to be, okay.
Correct. Yep, all of that. Basically, we're going to open them up, give them to you, Tisha.
You want me to just wait here?
Apps, I think, why not? Yep. Would it be
Yeah.
possible to get some
I know, I don't have it.
opener, just those knives? please?
There's one right here.
Okay. You prefer a knife? Either that one.
You go.
Finally, I think we're all good.
You want us to remove the ballots?
I think so, yeah, Ruth, we can put things in here and maybe we can give it over to.
Some of this, here, envelope. Right, will the back bending at all?
Yeah. Go.
All together.
Right here.
Yeah.
Work it a little bit.
You want to verify the business.
Oh, sure. Okay, here's our empty. Check mine.
So essentially, the ones that we would be rejecting, you would need Tisha for. Would you like these to take these as
Yeah,
rejection?
because they're currently not returned until you guys made a determination.
I'm not seeing any tears, defects, cuts, stale of the line. All right, these are.
All right, those are mine.
Okay, great. Literally, you see this.
Put all mine back together.
Thank you, sir. Those
No,
are all-
that-
oh, I just got a-
One ballot that, you need that one, you already scanned that one ballot that had the UPS label. so you
I
don't-
did not, because I needed them to make a determination.
Okay.
Would you all like a
So-
souvenir from Ypsilanti?
Do you want to keep it with the outer
I
envelope?
think
So
we
if
should,
there's any
yes. I think we should.
questions?
Sounds good, okay.
We usually keep everything empty there.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Okay. And we should have 8. Want to verify the minutes? 2, 3, 4, 5, put those on. 6, 7, and 8. All right.
You would?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Public count number is 0.
If anybody would like to check, look. Anybody
I
want to?
also have the 0 report.
Yeah, the 0, please. Okay. Anybody like to?
You do have the 0
I
report?
do have the 0 report, yes.
Okay.
Anyone wants?
You say 8 when I'm done.
Can you get 2 more vanilla?
That size?
Yeah, please. Yep. Thank you. Or bigger if you can, Tisha. Larger. 3. Okay.
And 4.
I'm gonna go get some seals. Where's that?
5.
You need to reseal this.
Yeah.
These back in.
Yep, yeah, we'll put,
Like I opened it.
did you? I'll go through, yeah, just, there's all that.
Number 6. Seven. Public count number is now 8.
Do you want me to run the results? now?
Let's see, are there any other? Wait till Michael gets back.
Okay.
In agreement that there are no other ballots to run through. And that, and then we have for the questionable ballots down from there. We have all of these. Michael, are there any
Yes.
other ballots that need to be run through this afternoon?
We're gonna wait on the military receipts. So the answer would be no. Tisha's gonna bring over a folder that we will be putting the Cassidy projections ones in. And then these right here as well. We'll be bringing a folder over for her to record.
And will the custody of those ballots be in the elections office or in the solicitor?
No, I think they should stay with the elections office.
Yeah,
I have my
just wanted-
notes that I
just wanted to be clear.
We're gonna take
those plus
Yeah.
these, yep.
We're gonna put all those into the red. Thank you, Tisha.
So Michael, you would like me to shut down the DS200, print the results?
Please, yes, please.
If you're ready.
You want to put them in there, label those.
All right.
Maybe opened, I think opened on,
Then process, right, open them. Correct?
yeah.
Open them.
And identify, that does say 8, correct?
It does indeed say 8.
You're gonna get the one that says open in the canvas, but those are the ones you gotta go back through because you're gonna do what you need to do.
Basically, any of the ones that were issues that needed determination that are a yes, and even ones that are.
These are projected.
So then I just give this to Tisha?
Yep. And so these are the ones that we have further review on, addition D. Out of curiosity, would it make sense for us to count these?
It's probably not a bad idea, just to have them counted in each group, even because you have Post-its on the outside. You
Yeah,
can
what,
count them and decide how many you
Yeah.
have. You
Well, we
want to
put
count a
them in.
stack?
yeah, why don't we? Right, so I'll transfer.
Tisha, she can record them or just?
Thank you.
Am I done?
Oh, just pick out the thing,
Okay, well,
just in
only
case.
because I don't know.
I know, just.
Number 8. Okay. Number of ballots going through at 8.
Share that with you. Okay. We have six of those upfront ones: signature, driver's license, legible signature, driver's license, etc. Do you want to count some of those, Commissioner? Let us know what are in each category there.
Start counting the ballots that are currently in here. Shall I let them in here until the end and then you can place them in a bin?
Yes.
Okay.
Either way.
Okay.
So this is printed,
Anyone to see the results?
missing here the signature.
We're missing voter address.
So they have the signature, they have the date, they have their printed name, but they don't have their address. That's just one. Okay. So the missing printed voter.
I counted those, but I have to double check.
4.
That's done. Do we have any more rubber bands down there?
Maybe the next time up.
Yeah, the feedback.
Okay.
I show 9 with the declaration, missing date, voter name, and address.
Okay. All right, so. Yeah, I can swap a few. There should be 4 of those.
Yeah, there should be 3 packs of 1 and 1 pack.
But no, it's 54.
That's what I have, yep. I was gonna say, wait, I just watched you do. You're on the same boat, we're good. There actually are a little more than 50. Watch the back. Okay. 54, no date.
Yep, and everything else is fine.
They have a.
I keep thinking about how you could make those directions any more clear, and I can't come up with anything. I don't know.
Got another stack, Steve?
We both
Yeah, just
counted those, so we both got 54.
You got 54.
Unless you guys want to double check.
No, and those are what?
Those are no date.
Just missing the day.
This one is missing declaration.
You say there are 54.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and then those are done there, the ones you gave straight, the 4 there?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So those are those marked if you want to. That would be my, of everything we have here, that's my total. I don't know if you, that's an element there. Okay, all right.
is correct.
Okay, excellent. Once Commissioner Higgins finishes, we can detail those numbers.
When would you like to take action on these ballots?
Did you suggest Monday?
Whatever, well, I'm gonna rely back.
I would prefer Monday, but if you'd rather have an answer tomorrow, but I know I just,
If available tomorrow, if not, Monday's fine.
okay.
Tomorrow would be tackling the provisional, so I think we'll probably.
Is this your total is going?
Excellent, yep. 70. So
70.
So
70 in question.
the 70 and the need for more attention is 6. So in total, there's 76 ballots right here, 76 ballots.
May I ask, oh, pardon me,
No,
what were the other categories?
no. Would you like a list?
That would be great, thank you.
So the main one is missing date.
54.
The next largest one,
I have them written down.
yeah.
okay,
I have 54 missing date, 4 missing printed voter name, 9 missing date, voter name, and address, 1 missing voter name and date, 1 missing voter name and address, 1 missing voter address.
Thank you.
And then the 6 that are
6
just,
that are more about what was on the inside. Yep.
so 76 total votes at play here.
Commissioner, if you want to put them in,
okay.
then we can read them numbers aloud.
Get my glass.
I can give them to the camera real quick.
Yes.
Run it back, probably.
Oh, should we have shown that it was emptied in the first place?
Please, yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Pull it back out.
Please, yep. Yep, so we had presented as empty.
And earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, present it again. Now we'll have 76 votes.
76 that we'll need to. We're waiting solicitor.
There's the numbers there.
Oh, thank you.
Those.
And I'm going to get the tape.
Yeah.
Steve too.
Yeah.
Well, we were right on what it
I
is.
know you got Skype.
A combo of.
You both start with
something
4,
declaration.
3.
More attention.
Okay. Lassos.
Follow your. You go to the bottom.
Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to go to the top. The top actually works.
And I just push it through.
Yeah, just push it through the top.
Like a zip
The
tie.
other way, Mark.
The other way?
Yep.
Oh,
It's like a zip tie with a number on it.
It's steel too. You got really.
bottom. Try to do this. Oh, okay.
And the numbers have been showed to everybody. Camera and the audience, and we just read them out for the rest.
All right, that's pretty good.
You want to read the
What do
numbers?
we have? Okay, we have 4395 on this side and 4360 on that side.
Yeah, marker, Steve.
I can do that. Okay, we have 76 ballots.
Yes.
Well, and not to, I would say.
Assume.
I'd say return envelopes. There could be,
Yes.
there could always be a naked ballot in there.
Well, this is true.
That's right. So we're not out of the woods yet. Yep. I'd like to see the Department of State's face when we upload 8 ballots. I'd like to.
And for clarification, those 76 are all awaiting further guidance.
Right, yes.
Solicitor advice.
Yep. Potential Saturday. Monday as well.
Saturday or Monday?
We will put these
Action over.
here.
Okay, is there anything else that Any other ballots that require our attention this afternoon?
I am seeing none. From my end of things, just another thank you to all of our staff for their continued diligence. Everybody was here until everything was finished last night. Big help to just get those done, so thank you.
Yes.
Yes, today would have been a much more arduous process. We would have had to have done we were all set up yesterday to do the military and the overseas federal voters, so.
I'm just checking to see if, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, if there's any further questions, Natalie might have some questions from the stream there. Just wanted to see if she has any or not.
We'll entertain any questions.
Please, yeah.
Any questions from the group assembled? Yes.
Yeah, just going back to an earlier discussion about what could you give the meeting dates again for those for the voters that were reached out to about their ballot possibly needing corrected in some way?
We could get the date. It might have been sometime in mid-October when we created the letter.
Yeah.
We created the letter at an election board meeting in mid-October. We could follow up right after this meeting. I can go look on our minutes. If Natalie, actually, if you would be able to find out while we're waiting here what meeting we created that letter on and approved that on, that would be terrific. And so maybe we can get you an answer really soon.
And that leaves us with original ballots tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry.
With the, I know that it was mentioned earlier during the discussion that the naked ballots were spoiled. Do we have a number on how many of those naked ballots were reached out to about provisionals?
So
the election staff didn't do this, right? Nobody from the elections.
Other counties did. Other counties had a high end envelope weigher, I guess you could say. They were actually able to tell if a secrecy or a ballot contained a secrecy envelope or not. We had nothing of the sort. So this election or our office did not have any. We never reached out to anybody in terms of direct contact saying you have a naked ballot, you should come in and correct it. Just the outside of the voter declaration was what we had contacted them for.
We'll be having a robust conversation in that regard tomorrow on all of the visual ballots.
We just had somebody, Natalie had said that somebody had commented, they appreciated being it virtual so they could join in. So we happy to do so. Happy to do so. It is, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the way we set it up is if you go to centercountyvotes.com, there's an icon right on there that says elections board meeting video. And that is essentially a link that you just click on that icon, and you're going to enter into the Blue Jeans link. So for every meeting we have until the end of November, centercountyvotes.com, and click on that link and you'll be able to join us virtually.
Michael, are the past ones on there? Because I've had people email me about where the link is, and I didn't know at the time, so I wanted to reach out to them and say you can go view the past ones.
So we have Chad Joyce, who is working on creating that. If he hasn't already, he hasn't yet, but we asked him to create a page that has every meeting we've had on elections since post-election day. Yep.
What can we expect?
By the end of today, it should not be long at all. Yep.
All right. No old business to discuss. No discussion items. Election announcements. Any announcements that we haven't already covered?
Tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Same place.
Back here.
Are there any other questions from the group assembled here or online? Any other comments or other indication? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Properly moved to second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for coming out.